Morning, guys. It is what is it, May 9th. And we are in Proverbs 29:18, which says, in NIV it says, where there is no revelation, um, vision is the way his version puts it here, Chambers version. Where there is no revelation or vision, the people cast off restraint. Um, Vision versus ideals is what Chambers is kind of highlighting here. I remember doing one of my first long runs that I did years ago. I did a half marathon in Richmond, and I remember the last couple miles was the hardest, and um, that's not uncommon. But the reason why they were hard is because we came back into like the city center of Richmond, and I remember that the course would turn and then go half a block and turn and go half a block and turn, and the the length of the course in front of me was very short until the next turn, and so and it became really tiresome. I remember thinking, when's this thing going to end? And that is, I think, the difference between ideals and vision. Vision is actually projecting or looking ahead and saying, aha, I see the goal in front of me, or I see the bigger picture in front of me. And um, and the reason why it was so difficult with running is I couldn't see the finish. I couldn't even project myself towards a a next finish, because sometimes when you're running, you just look on the horizon. Okay, that's my finish line for now. That's my finish line for now, and you project out further. When things get really, really focused in and close, it becomes very discouraging, and that's why I think a lot of us walk through our days like this, only seeing things directly in front of our faces, and that becomes a real problem. That's the reason why people are dealing with depression, is because your world becomes small. Think about it this way: think about someone sitting in a hole, um, a dugout pit, someone sitting in a pit, but they don't have the ability to crane their neck and look up and see that the pit is only 6 feet tall and they could stand up and climb out. But they're in a pit and they're only able to look around at the walls of the pit around them, and that's all they see. Then their vision for what the future looks like, or what even today looks like, is very limited when they can't see past or project past. Even an ideal, the way that Chambers talks about ideals versus vision here, of maybe the world's different, maybe the world will be maybe I'll be able to um, dig out of this pit one day. Vision says, look in the right direction and see what actually is. And maybe I'm taking it a different way than Chambers would, but he says, wherever there is vision, there's also a life of rectitude, because the vision imparts moral incentive. It shows us the finish line. When we actually allow God to show us with vision what actually exists, like the eternity set before us, the um, when we can see the finish line, and we're not just stuck in an ideal of what could be, what should be, what might be, but what actually is. I think, and I don't think I'm doing Chambers an injustice here, nor do I think I'm doing Proverbs 29:18 an injustice, because people need to see what is. The revelation is a revealing of truth. Revelation is God's truth being revealed to His people, and when they don't have that, when they don't see what actually exists um, in the here and now, they cast off restraint and don't even bother trying to live within any kind of standard. He says here in the second part, when once we lose sight of God, we begin to be reckless. We cast off certain restraints. We cast off praying. We cast off the vision of God in little things, and begin to act in our own initiative. Again, um, not realizing that there's something bigger, um, further out there, but it's something we can actually see. Um, and he challenges us at the end here: is our attitude today an attitude that springs from our vision of God? Are we expecting God to do greater things than He's ever done? Is there a freshness and vigor in our spiritual outlook? And I think it's funny. I just read a Facebook post. I'll end with this. I just read a Facebook post to a friend of mine, and I read in the post, and he was just kind of talking about discouragement, him being discouraged. And as soon as I read it, I realized why he's discouraged. Because I think I counted about 8 or 9 times in about 3 sentences where it says I, my, me, I'm, like, and I thought, well, there's your problem right there. This is your problem. Your problem is you're stuck in your own blinders. You're stuck without any vision of what's beyond you. And so, my challenge to you today, and to myself as well, is to open your eyes, look up out of the pit, and see what God actually is doing or has done, who He is today, not some ideal of what He might be, what He is. Guys, have a great day.